Operation Epic Fury.
The Chah, Bahar, Shahid, Kalantari port surveillance tower tracked ships in the Strait of Hormuz for decades, and then Trump just erased it. Tonight, the IRGC's eyes are in the dirt. Its bridges are busted, and Tehran just learned the pain phase is here. This fight turns on one thing: whether the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps gets to hold the world's shipping lane hostage. CENTCOM blasted the tower the IRGC used for decades to track and target commercial vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz, while President Trump stood at the White House and declared, "We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly." That's the stake: freedom of navigation under American strength, or blackmail by ayatollah thugs who treat global choke points like their private toll booth. And also breaking tonight, rising defense demand near record tungsten prices are putting fresh focus on a U.S. supply gap that Washington is now racing to close. Tungsten has become a tungsten national security priority because fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition all depend on it. Yet the United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. President Trump's Project Vault includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon has sent millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining is building historic tungsten assets in mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including proven former mines in Nevada's Great Basin. The district carries a USGS estimate of roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide and an estimated in-ground value of $30 to $50 billion. It's trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States. Make sure you check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you, linked below. And then Tehran gave the game away. After losing bridges, rail links, and that Hormuz surveillance tower, the IRGC openly called on Jordanians to attack U.S. forces. So I'm going to pull up the post and show you what panic looks like when American power cuts the wires. President Trump, currently at the White House, surveying the massive damage done to the IRGC roads, bridges, and infrastructure near the Strait of Hormuz after CENTCOM's bombing campaign. 47 will be departing for the FIFA reception at Trump Tower in New York City. Let's go to that.
Trump is here at the White House right now reviewing reports from the front lines after a night of American bombing against Iranian bridges and roads designed to cut off IRGC supply lines in what he says is a winning campaign.
We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly.
It's true that the Iranians have their hands full with American attacks. So they're trying now to enlist one of their terror group proxies, the Houthis, to shut down a pinch point of the Red Sea on this map. It's called the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Experts say even a few small attacks could be severely disruptive to global shipping, and activating a terror group represents yet another way the Iranians are violating the Memorandum of Understanding.
Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding.
So Trump says the campaign is working, and now the damage is coming into focus. Next reports say a main bridge linking Shiraz to Bandar Abbas was blown apart. U.S. has reportedly destroyed the main bridge that connects Shiraz to Bandar Abbas in Iran.
دوستان پل گریوه وسط ولی داده وسط کافته یه خورده وسط تریلی تانکر دوستان پل گریوه وسط ولی داده نه عدیده.
So the bridge strike wasn't a one-off. Up next, open source intel says multiple bridges were hit, along with a rail station, a maritime tower, and even an airport in the same region. U.S. strikes in Iran, 5 to 6 bridges in Hormozgan. The Chah maritime tower destroyed a railway station west of Bandar Abbas and the Iran Shahar civilian airport. So it looks like Bridges Day is finally upon us. President Trump's been warning about this day for quite some time. I remember being at the White House when President Trump delivered his very rare speech, his very rare press briefing where he openly talked about this moment, threatened it would come, and here we are. So it wasn't random damage, a systematic hit. Next, CENTCOM shows the strike that took the port tower used by the IRGC near the Strait of Hormuz. Newly declassified video from CENTCOM showing the absolute destruction of the IRGC surveillance tower that is threatening the Strait of Hormuz. No longer will that be a threat. President Trump amplifying the attacks in Iran as the Memorandum of Understanding basically lays in a pile of ash, much like these pieces of infrastructure. So you saw the military footage and the surveillance tower getting erased. Next comes a look at the structure itself in its final moments before it collapsed. This is what it looked like just before collapsing. Quite a structure, as you can see. But with the tower down, the IRGC loses another set of eyes on the water, but the regime was also trying to move weapons another way. A tanker packed with drones and rockets gets seized at the Syrian border. We have this translated from the local news there. Syrian customs at Al-Tanf border seized an oil tanker packed with hundreds of drones, rockets, and weapons. Officials say IRGC smuggling attempt bound for a Syrian port, likely headed to Hezbollah in Lebanon. So you can see there's a tanker there, everything hidden inside of it.
In inspection, the customs authority at the Al-Tanf border crossing seized a shipment of weapons and missiles concealed inside a tanker designed to transport crude oil. The official seizure report was properly filed and handed over to the relevant authorities.
You can see all of the contraband being pulled out of those tankers.
That, with God's help, it will remain an impenetrable fortress protecting the nation's borders and security. No smuggling attempts or concealment tactics will deter its personnel from performing their duties with absolute integrity and resolve.
So that seizure, it tells you exactly how Tehran plays the game, smuggling, proxies, and deniability. Next, House Foreign Affairs Chairman Brian Mast lays out why Trump hammering the bridges, ports, and supply routes matters.
We're hitting Iran with a lot of firepower. How do you think they're taking it?
I don't think they're taking it well. Obviously, as the general put it, we're hitting their supply routes, their infrastructure, energy infrastructure, bridges, so they can't get equipment to the places that they have been consistently launching drone strikes from. And that's important to bring this conflict to an end, as we all want.
They had a chance to avoid this, but they decided to break that ceasefire and the MOU. And so do you think that how much of this do you think it will take to get Iran to come back to the table in a serious way?
They haven't been at the table in the most serious way. Why? Because they've been sending negotiators that have not been a part of the IRGC, and I know this was just discussed. The IRGC is effectively running the country, but they have not been the ones negotiating. That has been a game that they are playing, but this is the language that they speak, the language of them being destroyed, having their equipment destroyed, and President Trump closing their waterways, their seaports, everything that gives them access to the world. Him closing that off is the language that continually brings them to the table.
So his point is simple: hit the routes, hit the regime where it hurts. Next, the IRGC answers with panic, calling on Jordanians to attack U.S. forces after those strikes landed. They're calling on the people of Jordan to attack U.S. forces stationed in the country, claiming American aircraft operating from Jordan carried out strikes on civilian infrastructure in Iran, including bridges, residential areas, and water facilities. The statement urged Jordanians to fulfill the divine duty and ended with a Quranic verse. So the threat shows the pressure is real, and Trump says America is still in control. Next, you'll hear the president declare the U.S. is winning big.
We're making a record investment in our armed forces, and we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, and unfortunately, we're forced to use it now. We won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly.
So Trump's projecting strength from the podium. The message is echoing beyond Washington. Next, an Iranian voice says what the media never wants to admit. Many inside Iran want Trump to finish the fight. To President Trump, you have done more for Iran than all other Western leaders. We are so close. It's time to finish the fight. Sincerely, 90 million Iranians, and posted this video.
The death toll in Iran keeps climbing as regime forces crack down on anti-government protests.
By the way, to all Iranian patriots, all I say to them is help us on this way. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you. We'll be there to help.
Wow. That was one heck of an edit from an Iranian voice. When the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps started begging Jordanians for mob attacks after CENTCOM dropped the very tower it used for decades to stalk commercial shipping, the verdict writes itself. Ali Khamenei's terror machine isn't projecting strength anymore. It's blind, cornered, and screaming because Donald Trump stopped the press releases and started severing the regime's arteries. The establishment spent years pretending deterrence meant another memo, another panel, another soft-faced expert promising de-escalation while Tehran armed proxies, stalked ships, and smuggled rockets across the region. Trump flipped the board. He hit 5 to 6 bridges in Hormozgan, smashed a railway station west of Bandar Abbas, wiped out the Chah, Bahar, Shahid, Kalantari port surveillance tower, and backed it with the kind of unapologetic clarity weak men in Washington never had. Then came the smoking gun at Al-Tanf, an oil tanker packed with hundreds of drones, rockets, and weapons likely bound for Hezbollah. That's the regime, a terror pipeline with a flag. If you want the pressure kept on the IRGC and not handed back to the cable news cowards and foreign policy parasites, send this report to one person who still thinks Iran just wants dialogue. And that tower is exactly the kind of footage that YouTube buries, and our crew inside the White House is sending more straight from the building tonight. Text White House to 844-840-4963 and get the Insider channel on your phone before the algorithm shuts the door.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.